Welcome to the Music Ed Matters podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Emily Williams Birch, and this podcast, it exists for you. Whether you're a music lover, an educator, a choir member, each week we bring guests to the show to help explore what matters in music. I'm so glad that you're here. Welcome to the show. Hello, and welcome to the Music Ed Matters podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Emily Williams Birch, and today we have a returning guest, Dr. Raul Dominguez. In this episode, we talk about his experience directing the Denver Gay Men's Chorus, which is a GALA chorus. We also talk about the response that both that chorus and his college chorus at Regents University had after the Club Q event. And then the community that ties all of it together. In this episode, we learn a whole bunch about tools we can use to build community, like talkbacks or pre-show circles, or the importance of mentorship. In his Gay Men's Chorus, they call it bigs and littles, and they get roses before their first concert. Cool. But we also talk about the importance of being visible, of being seen, of being supportive. And during the conversation, Dr. Dominguez gives us ideas for how we too can create a tribute concert when something big happens in our community, how we too can be supportive of the LGBTQIA community, even if we don't have a GALA chorus. So y'all, I really enjoy talking to Raul, and you're going to be able to tell. But I'm really glad that you're listening too. This episode is brought to you by all of our friends over on the Music Ed Matters Patreon page. Jump over Music Ed Matters Patreon page for bonus episodes and your very special invite to all sorts of cool things. Anyway, thank you for making that possible. And if you're not a Patreon person, totally no big deal. Just make sure you share, review, rate, all that stuff. It's how more people get to hear awesome conversations like this one with Dr. Raul Dominguez talking about community and supporting LGBTQIA++. Today, on the Music Ed Matters podcast, we are talking to a returning guest and an awesome musician, my friend, Doctor, because he wasn't Doctor last time, Raul Dominguez. Hello, my friend.
Hello, Dr. Birch. How are you?
It never gets old. It's so much fun, right?
So much fun. The best.
We get to do all sorts of like nerdy research and figure out ways to advance the field. It's always fun. How are you since we've seen you last time? We need to ask our normal questions. Where do you live and what do you do?
Sure. So I still, from the last time, live in the Denver, Colorado area in a suburb called Broomfield, which is between Boulder and Denver. Last time we spoke, I was a doctoral student at the University of Colorado Boulder. I since have graduated with my DMA. And so now I am the director of choral activities at Regents University here in Denver, Colorado, as well as the associate artistic director for the Denver Gay Men's Chorus.
That is so much fun. Isn't it amazing what can change in just a short, quick time?
It's amazing what can change, especially how much of it can change, even considering the fact that I haven't moved out of this apartment. I'm still here. But the parameters around all the things I do have definitely shifted, and that's really exciting.
Oh, I think that's quotable right there. You might not go far, but the parameters have shifted. Talk about patience. Man, that's so cool. Well, I'm so excited, and I'm really pumped that we get to talk about your GALA chorus and all of those things. So let's start with your chorus. How did you get involved with the Denver Gay Men's Chorus?
Sure. So like many musicians who are in school, they're studying, I was looking for a side gig to also supplement the income from CU Boulder for my TA award. And when I moved to the Denver area in 2019, my professors made me aware that there was an opening with the Denver Gay Men's Chorus for their assistant director. And I applied, flew down for the audition, had a great time, got the call that I got the job, and then moving here, CU Boulder and DGMC began simultaneously, and I've been with DGMC ever since, seen them through the pandemic, and this year have been promoted to associate for that organization.
So how do your responsibilities change from assistant to associate?
Sure. It's about contractually about 6 more hours of work. But I get to what I didn't get to do before. I wasn't always in the thick of DGMC. All of the smaller issues, all of the fun project planning bits, because my time was so allocated towards my school. Now with this promotion, I get to be much more involved with the chorus that I know and love as a family. And that's really inspiring because it's work that I enjoy and it's work that helps make the lives of others better through all the fun, nerdy organizing things that we love to do as musicians.
Yes, that other arm of the career job description. I want
Oh,
to
yeah.
come back to this idea of the family aspect and the community that you're creating with the Denver Gay Men's Chorus. But how does this align with your job at the university?
Sure. Much like Denver Gay Men's Chorus, the principles of Regis are to stand on the side of the marginalized. This is in their mission, and it is not only a part of the university's mission, it is a part of the student mission. We have every university has several principles that they stand on, and this is one that particularly drew me to Regis. Within the application process for Regis, we were asked to respond to several of the principles that they hold dear in essay form. And standing on the side of the marginalized has been something that has pervaded my life, whether it's been through the music I program or through the music I study and research, into the work for LGBTQIA plus singers in my chorus. And so that kind of work is exciting and directly aligns with all the things for Regis. And so when, for instance, I know we'll talk about momentarily the Club Q
Yes.
unfortunate shooting happened in Colorado Springs, not only was DGMC able to respond, but we also responded in kind as well at Regis. And we had a talk back after our tribute that we made, developed a video, and that was supported by our provost, our president. Folks sometimes look at us that we are a Jesuit university, and sometimes that can raise like an eyebrow or something with my alignment with the LGBTQIA plus community. But in fact, it is completely supported and valued at Regis. They, again, being on the side of the marginalized, they see this as an important issue, and thus my work with Denver Gay Men's Chorus is that much more supported.
It seems like the perfect collaboration. And I mean, side note, what an awesome way to go about figuring out, okay, here are the principles of this organization, here are the principles of this organization, where do they align, which ones align? What a great example of finding quality and meaningful collaborations for both sides.
Absolutely. As academics, we often try to make everything that we do streamlined and it all links to one another. And this is one beautiful way to link all the things that I'm involved with.
We're going to go back to Club Clio in a second, and don't worry, I won't forget about the community building. But do your students get to be a part of this musical process as well outside of the university? Or do they get to be involved at all with the DGMS? Did I get all the acronyms?
EGMC.
Oh, GMC. I was
All good.
close.
All good. All good. I have yet to find a direct connection between, the members of both choruses, but that's not to say that my students aren't involved or caring about current issues. For example, the Archdiocese of Denver recently came out against trans students in their high schools and their public schools. And Regis responded in kind with a student-led protest supported by faculty, supported by administration, et cetera, and march from on our campus. And this being an important issue for everyone, we took time out of the march took place simultaneously with the early music choir. And so we took time out of that rehearsal, not only to attend the march, but talk about it and consider its issues, et cetera, and how that affects their lives, even though they may not be direct members, they may be more allies. So they are aware of all the things. They love to be as woke as possible. And through that, I'm excited to support them in all of those ventures as well.
It sounds also like you are living by example. So they might not at this very moment collaborate choir member to choir member, but they're seeing you live out
Mhm.
your expertise and giving it standing on the side of the marginalized. I think they're seeing that in action, which is
Like,
just so cool.
absolutely. I was just going to say it's great to be supported by Regis. I'm thankful for my position because it truly, like we said, aligns many of the principles that I hold dear.
That is so important. What a great thing that you have found.
Mhm.
What is a talk back? Can you explain what that is and how you use it? Because I feel like that might be a really great tool for some of our listeners to use in their rehearsals.
Sure. Often, whether it's in rehearsal or let's say it's after our Club Q filming of our tribute, we'll take a moment to feel the air in the room, feel our own presence in the room, and then dive into our experiences, whether that is me prompting with leading questions, how does XYZ relate to your ABC? Or asking simply, how do you feel in this moment? What was that for you? And can you share a bit of your person right now with the whole group? The one after Club Q was probably the most moving. Ones students have articulated beautiful points, not only as in terms of student learning outcomes, but also saying things like, this process taught me how to grieve, or this process taught me how to understand my grief and how music making can support that grief, can allow that grief to come out in a wholesome way, and while providing healing for those who are listening.
So it's basically facilitated conversation to assist in the processing of an experience, of an event, of musicking.
Of musicking, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Okay, very cool. And we call it a talk back. Do you keep the audience or is it just within your ensemble?
This, for the Club Q tribute, we did keep the audience because we responded. It happened, I think, on a Saturday, and by Monday we were ready to film and ready to go, because it was a piece of repertoire we pulled back from one of our concerts. And so because of that, our tribute was hybrid filming as well as audience experience and meditation. And so as audience members came in, candles were lit, the room was silent. We were also simultaneously, putting up a tripod in the most respectful manner while trying to be cognizant of the air in the room. And that was it was a moving experience for a lot of folks, especially the ones that attended. Beautiful words were said, and they were so grateful to have, a musical response. We haven't. Regis has had, several good choir directors come through, but it's been a revolving door, not out of any fault of anybody. But the fact that we can now respond and serve our campus in this way, folks are starting to see the importance of that, and it's a pretty critical part of my position. At least I consider that a critical part of my position.
Oh, I think it's so important. So the response to Club Q sounded like it happened quickly. So there was a shooting. Give us a little bit of the background and walk us through that timeline. Because I think, especially this past year with everything going on in Ukraine, we saw a lot of beautiful responses for that. There's been a number of other serious events. And sometimes we're sitting in the seat thinking, what can we do to support and respond to this, to give people a space to process? So can you walk us through what was Club Q? When did it happen? How did you create and facilitate such a meaningful response?
Absolutely. It was the evening of it was a Saturday, because Club Q happened on my husband and I's anniversary. And
Wow.
that evening, a shooter went into Club Q, which is, some say it's the only gay club in Colorado Springs. Some consider one other to be, there's another. So whomever you ask will get different answers. Went in, began shooting, was subdued by patrons. Police arrived soon after to take the shooter into custody, and thus began a series of responses from the Colorado LGBTQIA plus community. We at Regis or at Denver Gay Men's Chorus may not respond to every single event that happens in the world, because unfortunately that would, we have many things that go on in our world. But with this being in our backyard, that was, it was critical to respond as quickly as possible. And so over the weekend, we gathered supplies, came up with a filming plan. That was all Sunday the 20th, and then we filmed Monday, November 21st for Regis. I mentioned that this happened on the 19th, and Denver Gay Men's Chorus filmed the next day on Sunday the 20th, again using repertoire from our concert that somehow fit perfectly, yet we did not know it would fit perfectly in this instance, if that makes sense. We often program messaging repertoire for various reasons and how it fits our concert cycle. And oftentimes those can also be pulled for meaningful moments or for moments where we need to honor tragedy and lift up our community.
So I love that, because that's all that intertwinedness you were talking about earlier. You have to make that an intentional transfer, as we say. But you talk about filming. Where were these clips going? Who were you filming for?
Sure. We filmed for essentially our campus, knowing that we filmed during the class day, so not all of Regis could come to our concert hall to attend our filming or our tribute performance. And so we set up a series of tripods in our hall, iPhones everywhere. And after that evening, I spliced together all of the footage using Adobe Creative Cloud skills. And that the following week, or later that week, we were able to publish on YouTube and share the video with our campus, share it with, have it be shared through our communications avenues, and so others can watch, understand, consider, and be healed, or perhaps be aware of something of a tragedy that went on in their very own backyard.
This is fantastic. So thank you for the work that you do and for the work that you did, but also for those easy steps. Something happens, it's in your backyard. Something happens, it resonates with who you are. Not every something that happens, unfortunately. But step one is it resonates, figure out what actually happened, look back and see if you can make those transfers to repertoire you have ready to go. Find the way that you can touch the most people who need to process, whether that's through a tribute concert, a filming, something live, figuring that out. But that's a simple 3-step process that you can act on fast. Absolutely. And not every piece of repertoire we program needs to be like the most messaged or the most in-depth piece of repertoire, though quality craft, yes. But when you are able to program in a versatile way, then all of a sudden the repertoire takes on a new life of its own, because your students can then provide that as medicine in times of healing, like the Club Q tragedy, or joy in times of celebrating an event on campus. That kind of thinking goes a long way. Yeah, it's an intentional programming, not just for the individual concert, but the big picture and the power of music that we talk about. It's evident from this experience, this one tribute concert, that there is such a community in both of your choirs, at Regis and with your Gala choir. How do you build that community, especially for LGBTQIA plus singers? Absolutely. Within the Denver Gay Men's Chorus, our mission is literally building community through music. And we do a lot of what we do through our rehearsal process, which is augmented like 3 times by our concert retreats. Per concert cycle, we always have some sort of retreat, whether that's in town or out of town. We found that those experiences of concentrated music making rehearsal allow us to also have essentially listening circles, and have someone lead these listening circles to talk about principles we believe in, our experiences,
or to simply articulate our stories and sharing that with one another while in the midst of a fun rehearsal process. And then we all, have dinner, and we all put on like a no talent show and all the fun things, and people dress up as drag queens, do dance routines, and share all sorts of fun things. That truly begins to build bonds between everybody. And then you get to the concert, those bonds are then that much more augmented through the performance experience. I mean, we have, for our holiday show, we do 6 performances, 4 in Denver, 1 in Boulder, and 1 in Highlands Ranch. And so we spend a lot of time together. Now, that doesn't mean our family doesn't ever quarrel. We love to spill the tea, girl. We love the drama. And so through that, sometimes, heads do butt, but we always try to live out our mission as best as possible, resolve anything like adults in a kind and respectful manner, and remember that we are there to be voices for our community and to be activists as well as performers.
Wow. I'm kind of wanting to attend your next No Talent show. If you could please send an invitation, that would be awesome. So thank you for sharing those experiences. So rehearsal processes, the concert retreats, and then the performance experiences. That's really clear and sounds like a variety of ways to build that community. So if we're thinking about listeners who are looking for ways to support the LGBTQIA plus community in their choirs or in their communities, what are some ways that we as teachers, like there is no GALA chorus in my town, what are some ways that we could support the community?
Sure, absolutely. There are probably the easiest and first avenue folks can take is by supporting LGBTQIA plus composers and programming their repertoire. That is an easy way to bring in an LGBTQIA plus voice into your classroom, to acknowledge it, and maybe to have a talk back about it. To say that, maybe these experiences aren't directly yours, but they are someone's story. And as musicians, part of our job is to tell stories, especially the stories of others, to promote whatever principles it is that your program promotes. And if you're sitting here listening, thinking that, I don't know what principles my program promotes, well, then let me tell you, it's time to have a talk back about principles and engage your students. On our past 2 retreats from Regis, when I started at Regis, I adopted the mission that we are singing beauty into the world. And it's a pretty generic statement, though touching. And our second retreat this past weekend, we decided to codify some more specific principles. What does singing beauty into the world mean? And, let's put some bullets down. And then later on in the semester, we'll look at this draft again, see if it still rings true, and then finalize it in our fall retreat in the fall of this next school year. But as in terms of continuing to support LGBTQIA plus composers or the community at large, if your school has some, assuming that we have only educators, if your school has some sort of LGBTQIA plus group on campus and they hold events, provide music for it. Ask if your specialty group can go sing a couple of tunes to open or support that group. If there is a GALA chorus in your town, don't hesitate to reach out to the GALA chorus director to say, hey, could I bring a handful of my students to your next concert? Or would you all ever be open to collaborating? We did a collaboration here in Denver with Rangeview High School Choir with their director, James Laguana, on our Motown and More concert.
Yes.
And that was an incredibly moving experience because, you put high school students next to 120 member gay men's chorus, and they were a part of our process. We always wear, the red ribbon AIDS pin. Every single student got a Red Ribbons AIDS pin. They also attended our circle. They were participants in our pre-show circles. And the experiences that those high school students shared brought many, many of us to tears. That experience was incredibly moving, and many of them, they all wrote notes afterwards to the chorus, and a lot of them articulated that they will never forget that experience and how meaningful it was to be a part of such a messaging concert.
Wow.
So,
But wait. You have to tell us, what is a pre-concert circle?
Oh, sure. Much if you've ever been a part of a musical or maybe an opera in college, gathering before showtime and allowing members to share maybe what's on their heart, maybe how this concert has changed them, or it's also a chance for DGMC to lift up our new membership. Our new members are always celebrated, and they always have a big, and so bigs and their adjoining family, much like you might have in a fraternity or sorority, will present them a rose at their first circle, and that first circle is usually saved for experiences from first-year members or first-time members to Denver Gay Men's Chorus.
That's so cool. That's so replicable anywhere, though.
Anywhere, for anything you do. I mean, if you want to just have a pre-show circle for your fall concert, I mean, go for it. Students may have trouble opening up, but if you continue the tradition, I mean, by your spring, they will be ready to share. They will have been thinking about things to share if you're doing all the things correctly to build your community.
But I also love the big little idea too. I think about all the youngsters in my community choir. I mean, everything you've said, yeah, you might have prefaced it with school, but really doable in a community ensemble too. Thinking, okay, we might not have a gala ensemble in town, but there are plenty of events put on by the LGBTQIA plus community in our town. There are plenty of composers that we could be programming to make sure we're highlighting them, which, speaking of which, is there a database for all of those? Is there a place we could go to find them? How would we know?
I don't know if there's a direct database for LGBTQIA plus composers. I know the GALA Chorus website often has resources to share. And then, of course, you can the Facebook resource of, posting in the I'm a Choir Director Facebook page, who's who. Everyone's always happy to share what they're doing and their experiences that way.
Very cool. And very tangible.
Yeah.
Keep going.
The one thing that choirs could consider, and they may, depending on the area you live in, it might be more difficult, but also performing at Pride. That's a great way to get out into the community, to be directly involved with the LGBTQIA plus community, depending on what your Pride celebration or parade looks like. Excuse me. We always, for Denver Gay Men's Chorus, we do walk in the parade. We always have a booth set up as well next to a variety of organizations across Denver, including Regis. And so it's exciting to see that there are so many different ways organizations can get involved at Pride, and it may not be like your high school choir, or your choir organization directly, but maybe your parent organization or your school district has a booth. Or if your school's LGBTQIA plus organization is going to have a booth, can you have a select few singers stand outside the booth and sing to gather attention as you hand out stickers or bracelets or whatever you're celebrating for the occasion.
Yeah, it's that visual of support. I conducted a gay men's chorus in South Carolina when I was getting my doctorate. Nice. And I learned so much. I think I learned more from them than they learned from me. But one of my biggest memories was marching in the Pride Parade. And I had marched in the Pride Parade in Savannah, but I had never been with others in the community and a part of their float. And we all dressed up as characters from The Wizard of Oz. And they let me be Dorothy. I was mesmerized that they allowed me to be Dorothy. And we had this massive boombox, and we had a big rainbow that lit up, and we sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow for like 4 miles.
Yes, you did.
It was the bomb. One of the most memorable experiences. But Absolutely. It's those moments when you come together, and we didn't sound great singing, but that didn't matter. We were
It's a
singing
total.
our hearts out.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
oh, that's such a good memory. And I mean, not that I had forgotten it, but I hadn't thought about it in a second.
Yeah. I want to touch base on what you just articulated about learning more from them than because going into Denver Gay Men's Chorus, I had zero experience with the GALA chorus. I had zero experience with the Gay Men's Chorus. So to anybody who doesn't have those experiences, I will be the first to say that I would be rewind my life 5-7 years, and I would have been guilty of dismissing the music of a gay men's chorus or a gala chorus because I was steeped in all the academic stuff of school or undergrad or wanting to have this kind of choir, and my choirs will do XYZ. And I was quickly humbled and proven wrong. Denver Gay Men's Chorus for me has been a family that I didn't know I needed, and am incredibly grateful to have that. And no, we may not perform The War Requiem by Benjamin Britten, but we will perform Sparkle Jolly Jingle Twingly, and it will be a major production number with costumes, fierce choreography, and it will get the audience so their spirits lifted, an audience member feeling like they can be happy and be themselves, and unabashed joy. And that is worth all the work to put together sequins, glitter, cheerleading
Costume
costumes,
changes,
all of
all
that.
of it. I
Because
couldn't agree more. I think that was like, I came in with the idea of, we'll have a couple serious pieces, quote, serious pieces in air quotes, please. And then I had a whole slew of songs I had always been dying to sing with a choir, but I had never been, like, quote, allowed to sing them.
yeah.
And then to get their input on what they wanted, and to hear their favorite songs, and to hear them recommend pieces because the soloist sounds like someone in the group. It just, the heart and soul, like what you said, the family I didn't know I needed from that group. I firmly believe they are the reason I got through grad school in one whole piece as a whole human.
Yes.
I love
Yes,
them
yes,
dearly.
yes.
So, okay, you've given us some great ideas for how to support the LGBTQIA community. You've given us ideas for building community. We've talked about looking into the Gala Chorus repertoire pages and all the resources over on their pages. What else do we need to talk about before we hit these end of show questions?
Sure. I would say that no matter how you identify as an identifying human, visibility matters a great deal. Visibility can also save lives. We've had audience members from Denver Gay Men's Chorus concerts either write to us or talk to us after to say that, after this, I was going to end it, but your concert healed me or made me feel welcomed, or like I had a place in my community. This kind of visibility is important to promote, whether this is your experience or not your experience. But again, telling the stories of others goes a long way. We just, I think it's now 2 weeks ago from today, sang for Governor Polis's inauguration here in Colorado. The Denver Gay Men's Chorus did, along with Out Loud Colorado Springs Chorus. That was a great thing, mountaintop experience to conduct. Jared Polis is the first openly gay governor to win this seat in our country, and to be visible on that kind of national stage is so important, is a win for our community, is a moment to say that we are here and we are not leaving. We will stand in the face of hatred and homophobia and be an unyielding force to be reckoned with as we sing to change the world for the better.
Wow.
That was a lot.
I love it. No, I took a lot of notes on that one. That was a beautiful quote, because It is about visibility, and it doesn't matter who we identify as individually. It's how we're supporting and how we're a part of the community at large, because we're so lucky that music's our thing
Yes,
and music tells stories.
absolutely. It is the very vessel that we're able to create this specified universalism, as in terms of lifting each other up, relating music to our experiences, and helping it help others.
It's all about other
Helping others.
people.
There we
Yeah,
go.
that's awesome. I don't know if you've read the book Sapiens, but it talks about all of the chemicals in our brains and how chemicals work. And it actually unpacks why, when you hear a story, why, when a storyteller tells a story really well, that you feel bonded and connected. It's all about the chemicals, because we're all just a bunch of chemicals. And
Oh,
what you've told us today is telling other people's stories, which just bonds us together in community. And really, that's what it's all about.
always, that's what it's all about. Absolutely.
So good. Okay, Raul, this has been awesome. If it's okay with you, I'm going to link your Instagram in the episode notes so people can follow what you're doing, because I find it so much fun to watch where y'all are singing, what y'all are doing. And I'm guessing maybe if we're extra lucky, we might see some photos for your next Not Talented talent show thing.
Always, always. I'll say that the No Talent show, the next one, takes place in the fall.
Okay.
But that's not to say that we won't have some photos to post from our upcoming performance with, I think it's the season 12 winner of RuPaul's Drag Race,
Oh,
Evie Oddly. So we're
okay,
doing
I will be totally watching for photos and living vicariously through your experience out there in the awesomeness.
gonna be
That
so
is
cool.
so
So
cool.
cool.
That is so cool. Okay. End of show questions, because we could talk about this all day.
Sure.
So I already told you a book. This is why we have the end of show questions, because I'm such a nerdy book reader.
Love
What
that.
is the best or most recent book that you have read?
So because of my new position at Regis, probably the faculty handbook.
Oh, did you read the whole thing?
I didn't read the whole thing, but I've read a good chunk of it. And those things they're informative.
They are a lot.
Yes.
Phew, good job.
But I've been reading online a lot of I've been reading a lot about audience development by from Aubrey Bergauer. I don't remember if I mentioned Aubrey Bergauer last time I was here, but she is a data-driven gal out in California, and she was with the California Symphony, and like tripled their audience base
Wow.
in like 5 years. Forgive me, I don't quote me on these metrics, but she writes eloquently about data and the way she uses data and her metrics to inform solutions or solution-based data to yield fundraising results, yield audience results for nonprofit music organizations. She's got an active YouTube channel. Anyone who is in this kind of artistic director, nonprofit realm, would highly recommend Aubrey Bergauer, her blog, which is called or her email list called Changing the Narrative, always has incredible nuggets.
Oh, I'm
that
totally going to reach
organization.
out to her and invite her to the pod.
She
That
would
would
be
be
an
fun.
excellent guest. I
That would
like
be so fun.
an excellent guest, especially on the changing face of quote unquote classical music post pandemic and moving forward, and how we stay relevant.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm going to go ask her.
Yeah, she's always in
Very
the
cool.
long-term game. So bring her on. She's great.
Okay, well, you technically already answered number 2, which is who or what is mattering to you right now. And we're going to go with the changing face.
The changing face. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. Okay. We've talked about your Denver Gay Men's Chorus, and we've talked about the GALA Choruses. So I feel like those are the organizations that really matter to you for question number 3. Is there anything else that you would like us to highlight or go dig into?
Yes. So galachoruses.org is, if you don't know, this is kind of like your MEA, your Music Educators Association, umbrella organization for all LGBTQIA plus choruses. Technically, it's got America in the acronym, but it is actually all encompassing. We have choruses all around the world. And so one resource that I wanted to highlight from their resource page, galachoruses.org/resources-center. This is the New Harmony workbook. It's in its first volume. You can download the PDF or request a printable copy for free. It touches on a variety of topics and how they are integrated into your organization, on intergenerational dynamics, digital accessibility, mental health and neurodiversity, conversations on faith and religion, and grappling with exceptionalities, and how to facilitate these amongst your singers. It's a great resource for anybody who is, in this kind of trench, for anyone who wants to deepen or understand better their own practice and how to move it forward.
What a great resource. Okay, I will make sure to link that, both the .org and that New Harmony workbook. So cool. All right. This has been too fast. I've really enjoyed talking to you yet again.
This doesn't feel like it's been 43 minutes. Like,
I know.
Where did this go?
I don't know. We have one final question. What is the thing that matters, the message you want to send out to the listener today that they walk away with?
Thanks. I'll probably link the thing that connects all the things that I do. When I did the Choral Conductors Colloquium, I always ended every episode by asking listeners to use what they learned to put beauty into the world. That directly links to the Regis Choir mission, but putting beauty into the world with whatever we're doing, using our voices to do that, I would say is the thing that matters most. Because no matter how you're using your voice, whether it's musically or being an activist or being an active listener, you're helping people. And at the end of the day, helping others is what we do. Thank you.
That is so good. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast again.
Absolutely. This was such a good time. It's always a pleasure to talk to you, and it's great to see you again. And you run everywhere. Go for it. Get it. Always. Yes. Every time I see those photos, I'm like, yes, Emily, you better run.
Well, thank you so much. And I feel the same about your photos.
Awesome. And thank you for all the contributions you are making to our field. Such important work. Thanks.
Okay, what are you taking away from this one? I love how much we've talked about storytelling, that the experiences that you're singing about or that you're tributing may not be your own, but it's our job to tell the stories, and we get to do that through music. We get to take what we learn in these episodes in life and put beauty into the world. No matter how we're using our voice, we're helping people. Isn't that awesome? I can't wait to hear what community you are building and what awesome things you are doing. You can always reach me, emilybirch.org/contact, or jump over on the Patreon page already and just become one of the friends so we can talk all the time. Anyway, that's enough for right now. In case no one has told you today, my friend, you matter. We all know that music matters, especially GALA choruses and building community and supporting our LGBTQIA+ friends. And I will see you next time on the Music Ed Matters podcast.